All right, welcome back to the Savvy Producer. I have Richard Talbot with us today. Richard's with the agency I'm with, Life Shield Group, and we want to hear from the Savvy Producer and see how he's doing. Richard, you've been pretty good, man. You just jumped into the agency I've been with, Life Shield, for about a month, but you've been in insurance for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, about 10 years in insurance.
10 years? Yeah. You said like 2013, wasn't it? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started off doing life insurance sales as a mortgage protection agent. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. How did you get into that? Like, how did you start off saying it? I mean, I know you didn't say, I finished college, I'm ready to be a life insurance agent. How did you get into the business?
Yeah, so out of college, I sold copiers for a while. And then my mom actually filled out one of the leave cards, and the guy came to her house, met with her, and said, we're looking for other agents to help us, with the mortgage protection. And then I was like, I've always been very entrepreneurial and wanted to do my own thing. Kind of gotten tired of the corporate copier sales and stuff. And so I went to a meeting and I heard, about the opportunity, and I was like, that sounds like something I want to do.
That's awesome.
And so I just took off with full steam from there. And the first year I won the Greek Isles trip. I mean, I was always about trying to be in the top and be the best. And
yeah, absolutely. That's kind of how I saw it too. When I came into the business, I was doing mortgages prior for years. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, brilliant. I was like, I can do this. This is simple, And then I saw there was some, huge advantages of how we sold insurance and not just go out there saying I'm a life insurance agent. And we actually came in through the same channel, I think, National Agents Alliance, where we started from. Right. Yeah. And then, I went off to more of a mom and pop brokerage, IMO, you would call it. And then I think you had jumped into a couple different ones yourself. And you've always been doing mortgage protection, right? Or did you do anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to do final expense here and there with a couple different companies. But I always just gravitated back towards mortgage protection, after short deviations into other ventures.
Trying things out, see what else is out there. Make sure you're not missing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, believe me, I've done the same. I even try to do a final expense call center. And there was things that kind of drew me back. This, as you're experiencing, mortgage protection nowadays is very competitive. There's a lot of agents out there trying to do it. A lot of people getting direct mail pieces. And, when I started doing it from face-to-face to telesales, I knew there had to be a more inexpensive way of getting leads. So that way we can go through a few more leads over the phone to make it more convenient and still have the advantages of, calling anyone in the United States. And I think when we had met back 2 months ago, roughly. Yeah. It's July right now. So, I explained those things to you, and we talked about budget and what that looks like for you to the level that you would want to do it. And getting into, mortgage protection telesales either requires, a good skill set of selling on the phone and willingness to learn mortgage protection, or like yourself, someone who was a pro at mortgage protection and is looking to do it over the phone and expand their reach and be successful in a competitive market. So with the marketing that we have, I think you saw how that was going to be an advantage to you instead of doing just the traditional mail, direct mail back leads. And, it sounds like it's been going well for you. Your first month was June. And how did you do in June? I think you had told me some numbers a little bit ago. Was it?
Yeah. I wrote 29,789 and had a net profit just over 20 grand after, all of my expenses.
Yeah. About 20 grand, you said?
Right.
Gotcha. And then we're a week and a half roughly into July. Yeah, today is a week and a half. And you said you're around 6,000-7,000 netting, like after all
Right.
your expenses and stuff. That's a
Exactly.
good start. Yeah, and you've had a couple of big files too. Like you had one for like $450 a month or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you I don't think that's calculated those numbers. So you're doing really well, and you picked up right on it. There's a lot of people who don't pick up on it, but for the most part, having a good skill set coming in with mortgage protection, face to face, or telesales in some capacity is really who we like to mentor for this type of market. And we do some general life insurance from time to time, digital leads, and then our forte is doing it over the phone for mortgage protection. Great clientele. What's wonderful about mortgage protection is that most, like 90% of that you write stay on the books. So sometimes it goes down to 85% for some agents that are learning, but that profit that you're telling us about, you get to keep that for the most part.
Right.
So it makes a big difference. But yeah, the group that we're with at Life Shield, we don't really take everyone. So I know we're halting on any mentorship right now, but we should be opening that up later this month. So anyone who wants to reach out to Richard and talk to him about how he's doing, I think you would get to hear some good results from what I'm seeing. But don't take my word for it. Call Richard. So
Yeah.
But I tell you, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was how you're keeping your appointments. So 80% of like what you're sitting with. With mortgage protection, it's not like final expense life insurance sales over the phone where, it's a must one call close. You try to do the one call close, but there's a lot of spousal situations. And what Richard's doing is taking some of his mortgage protection sales experience face to face and applying that to doing it over the phone. And it's actually opened my eyes up to trying it this way, and going into and pre-running these pre-running these initial connects with folks on the phone. And that way, you have more people who connect with you on that appointment. You don't have so many no-shows. So tell us a little bit, what you do on that first call, like when you first get a hold of them, how are you getting 80% of them to stick, on average for their appointment?
Yeah. So I'll just, verify their information, and that way they'll, acknowledge what the call is about, who I am. And then from there, I've got a financial inventory sheet. And so I'll start to gather information such as, their age, their income, occupation, the exact mortgage amount, the mortgage length, the equity in the house, and then information regarding their health, such as, prescription history, previous health conditions, height and weight, smoking status. And then I'll also gather information about existing life insurance coverage that they currently have in place, either through work or outside of work. And I'll take notes on everything. And then I'll be like, okay, I know that you said your wife doesn't get home from work until 6:00. So I could probably call you back about 6:30. But I've written all this down, and I'll save it in your file. So when I call you back, I'll be prepared to speak with both of y'all. It'll only take about 15 minutes. And so once they divulge all of their personal information to me for the past 10, 15 minutes, they're more likely to answer that call again because we've made some kind of connection, versus if I'm just getting on and off and scheduling quick callbacks, and they're like, I'm not going to answer to this stranger salesman again,
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I found.
Yeah, I think that is where a lot of new people have issues with setting appointments. Is that they're just they're new to it, and they're like, okay, I got one. They just want to hurry up and get the phone and say, hey, I got an appointment. But there's no reason to take that block up on your schedule. later that day or the next day if they're not going to show up because you didn't properly tie that appointment down or cement that appointment, they call it. And, getting them to, divulge that information and give some of that stuff up. They want to hear what's on the other side of that door. So you don't give them rates and you don't give them what they're looking for, even though they'll keep asking from the very first couple words they give you, how much does this cost? What is this? You're giving them a little bit of, description and then going into these questions to qualify and taking control of the phone call, of the relationship you're going to be going into with them. So I think that's really helping you out because, you're getting chances to build rapport and them hear your personality too on the phone. Like, is this someone I want to continue talking to? So
right.
How long do those phone calls typically last? Like the initial phone call?
I mean, not very long. I go straight into it. So probably about 10 minutes or so. But then I can ask them like, hey, is this a new house? Do you like the house so far? And then they tell me what they do for work. And then I'll, when I get their income and stuff, I'm like, oh, how long have you been doing that? You like doing that? And so it gives me those like quick little minutes to build rapport with those questions I'm already asking.
Yeah. Yeah. And some would think, okay, what do we even talk about when we get on the phone? Do we go straight to the rates? I mean, what do you do when you get back on the phone with them?
Yeah. So that when I get back on the phone,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I just recap all the information that I gathered from their spouse with the new person, and verify it all. And then I just say, well, before I recap everything, I say, hey, did John tell you what this was about? They're like, yeah. And then I'll be like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, so basically it's the mortgage protection to help pay the mortgage, when he dies, or when John dies. And so that way, at least they kind of make sure that we're on the same page and then recap the information. And then from there, I'm just like, so if we're able to find a plan that you qualify for and that fits in your budget, you're all comfortable filling out the application today. And, prior to that, I may like briefly go into the why to be like, so what does it look like? God forbid John dies and you don't have this coverage. How long would you be able to stay in the house?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm hitting rates within 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not doing a lot of rapport, but I'm also asking like the qualifying questions to make sure that they want to move forward.
Yeah. So you're getting micro agreements. I mean, there's, other ways of doing it instead of, having to spend too much time on the phone before getting to the rates, which I do not recommend, going too fast in the rates without having some experience like Richard, because he knows like the responses that he's getting, that it's okay to move forward to get that information to them. Just like when you do a face-to-face and you're getting started, and a lot of times that can be easier to get into writing an application with someone, you need that grace of rapport, or originally when you get started with life insurance, maybe face-to-face. So you're, be careful if you do go into rates too quick. Richard is doing these things called micro agreements and making sure that there is need and taking a lot of control into his conversation with the person. So yeah, it sounds like when you get back on the phone, you're, I guess, confirming everything you talked about before, which gets them talking, and then you're asking them questions so they're engaging, so you're not doing all the talking, right? And then you're asking them those pain questions like, why are we on the phone? And it's good for that, for the two people that you get on the phone, if it's a spousal situation, that they hear it from each other, why are we doing this? So that way it's all on the table. And then, the way I do it is I always start with something with simple 3, results, or 3 rates for them, and let them tell me what direction to check from there, or which one of those would make the most sense for them, and try to get them approved. You want to keep it simple. You don't have to do a bunch of research whenever you get the information on the original call and you're calling back. You're really just trying to tie down that appointment and get an idea, maybe have that conversation with a colleague or your upline to know what your approach is going to be. Don't check rates, but just know what to expect and know how you're going to tackle this appointment. So, yeah, this is great stuff. I really like how you pre-run those appointments, Richard. I mean, I was doing something similar, but the financial inventory, I think, is key. Like, it gives you direction. It gives new people direction on which questions to ask when they're in that initial call and when they're first getting started and doing it over the phone. Something I realized too about you and me, we're pretty monotone dudes.
Yeah.
We're pretty like, this is what it is. Yes. And that for some reason with mortgage protection, that works better than, that works better than, throwing a lot of enthusiasm and excitement in it. It just, people don't want to hear that. The approach, this is something that is unique, doing mortgage protection. You're not talking to someone who reached out to get some life insurance rates. You're really sliding in there with an inquiry to see if there's need, explain living benefits, give it more value than just traditional life insurance, and then make it a quick and easy process while you're in that door for a brief moment. That's why we don't do fully underwritten. That's why we don't do things that take a long time and require a lot from that person. We try to make it quick and easy for them and look at cookie cutter deals and do as many of those as we can. And, and just get in front of as many people as we can. It's even for me, like I'll have a day where I have 8 people that show up and only write 2 apps. But I know the next day, or even 1 app, the next day I'll do it again. I know those people are out there. I trust the system. I know it's going to work, and I have, belief in myself that it'll work if I don't quit. So just some little nuggets there for you to keep in mind if you do look into getting into this business, doing, mortgage protection over the phone. But I don't want to keep blabbing. All right, Richard, I look forward, man, continue working with you. You are definitely a savvy producer. You're a Hall of Famer, weren't you?
I was.
Family First Life, yeah. And kicking butt, doing it over the phone. I love it. I mean, it's possible, for people to do this over the phone and make a very good living doing so. So if you have someone to reach out to, ask them questions, reach out to Richard. Richard, what's your email so people can get a hold of you?
It's just Richard, F as in Frank, Talbot, TALBOT @gmail.com.
Cool. Awesome. And then, feel free to reach out to me too if you need to, Jason @savvyproducer.com. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next time.